all have that one friend who gets just a little bit too into every fad? So they come up to you one day and say, hey, check out this company, it'll make you tons of money. And you're a nice person, so you go ahead and you check it out, see if it's actually worth anything. Chances are, as you're going through information, you find something from someone called an analyst. An analyst is someone who is an expert on a firm or an industry, and they do things like release expectations about how much a company will make this period and whether you should buy or sell a stock. Because analysts are experts, people put a lot of faith into what they say, and they put a lot of money behind that faith. A lot of money. So it matters if analysts are biased. Well, unfortunately, analysts are biased, and we have about 2 decades of research to show that. Right now, the prevailing theory about why they're biased is that to some degree, analysts just say what managers want them to say. When regulators heard about this, they weren't very pleased, and so they passed a law in 2000 called Regulation Fair Disclosure. This law tried to keep managers from giving this preferential access to analysts and in effect reduce analyst bias. But what about other sources of analyst bias? That's where our research comes in. Our research focuses on other sources of analyst bias that result from things that we're all subject to. Things like uncertainty and limited time, which I think a lot of us right now are feeling pretty bad today. Now, analysts have at most 3 months in which to release one of their forecasts, so they can only focus on a limited number of firm outcomes. But by focusing only on these limited outcomes, they subject themselves to what I call uncertainty-induced bias. Now, that's a fancy way of saying that if you don't know the difference between alternatives, they seem more alike than they actually are. Like a path in the woods that forks. If you have no map, you might think either path is equally likely to lead out, even if only one does. Now, if it's true that uncertainty causes analyst bias, we would expect analysts to be more biased when they're more uncertain. And this is what we find. At long horizons, when analysts have less information and are more uncertain, they're much more biased than at short horizons when they have more information and are less uncertain. Going back to that law that was passed to reduce analyst bias, this law would have increased the uncertainty for a subset of analysts. For those analysts, their bias increased following the law instead of decreased. What this tells us is that when regulators try to judge the efficacy of a law aimed at reducing analyst bias, they have to be careful. And if regulators want to completely eliminate analyst bias, that may not be possible because some portion of analyst bias isn't under the analysts' or anyone's control. Thank you, and good luck, everyone.
So tell us a little more about yourself.
I'm from Pennsylvania. I have a terrible sense of humor because I'm short, so most jokes just go right over my head. And my dad is a professor, so I was following in his footsteps in this.
Okay. So what got you interested in your research?
Luck is part of it, definitely. I wanted to get a PhD. I went into accounting because my dad was in business strategy, and I thought, oh, this is a really fantastic place to go. And I did luck out because I really do love it. So.
Cool. What's your favorite part about it?
I have a lot of friends in the audience, so I have to say all of it.
Okay. So when you're not working, what do you do?
Sleep.
Sleep?
I've been thinking about that answer.
Okay.
Yeah, I also play video games. My husband lives about 8.5 hours away, so I go up to visit him when I can.
Okay. Do you have a favorite spot to sleep on campus?
Wherever someone won't find me.
Okay. What do you see yourself doing in 5 years?
Hopefully I'll be in a tenure track position, hopefully, unless like world ends or something, in which case zombie fighting probably.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much.
Yeah.